When San Diego FC hosted Columbus Crew in March 2025, it was a clash of two very similar teams. Number 1 and 2 in average possession in MLS. Number 1 and 2 in the league for passes per match. These teams both don't just want to keep the ball, they also press their opponents intensely and were number 2 and 3 in MLS for goals scored from high turnovers. So how did this match of two such similar teams play out tactically? Let's look at Columbus's idea against the ball first. Columbus likes to press very high. What's interesting is that unlike a lot of pressing teams, they don't block the passing lanes for the opponent, but they mark each potential ball recipient and then attack them when the ball comes to them and try to steal the ball high up the field. In the first half, San Diego really struggled with Columbus's press. San Diego usually likes to play out from the back with short passes, but every time they swung the ball from one side to the other to move up the pitch, Columbus pressed them very tightly and cut off all short passing options with this wedge of 5 or 6 pressing players in two lines. Even when San Diego tried to switch sides, Columbus followed the ball in their shape and blocked all progression of play with short passes and started forcing San Diego's defenders into long balls like this one. With the ball, Columbus had one notable pattern early on where they tried to get into the final third. The midfielder here is with the back to goal, receives the ball, turns up and quickly switches play to the opposite wing where there is more space to attack. Columbus actually took the lead following a similar pattern. Midfielder again receives ball with back to goal, turns up and crosses to the other side. Columbus also created a bit of width here to stretch out the San Diego back line and create gaps to attack into and score the goal from this attack. San Diego was initially not only struggling with the ball but also against the ball. San Diego typically likes to also press very high, but here their pressing lines were pretty disconnected initially. There was too much space between the front three and the midfield three in pressing. That allowed Columbus to play into that empty space between the two San Diego pressing lines and easily progress the ball down the field. But San Diego made a number of adjustments to their usual match plan to deal with the Crew's strategy. First, they significantly tightened the distance between their pressing lines and made it much harder for Columbus to progress the ball with short passes. Here you can see much less distance between the front and midfield three, and once Columbus tries to pass short, the defensive line jumped out to create turnover. Here's a similar scene where the distance between the San Diego lines are tight again and they create another turnover in midfield and turn that into a good chance. The second adjustment was much more meaningful for San Diego and helped them eventually tie the match. That adjustment was a clear switch to long balls by the center backs over the final defensive Columbus line instead of trying to get up the field with short passes. Again, San Diego does not like to play like this and wants to usually play out the back with short passing, but as we saw earlier, that just wasn't working. 50th minute. Similar pattern. They try short passes, but play back to the center back who sends a long ball towards Anders Dreyer for an almost opportunity. One minute later, same thing. The center back spots that the Columbus backline is high and sends another long ball towards Dreyer. 3 minutes later, the same pattern again. Center back long ball towards Dreyer. Columbus defensive line was very high and close to the midfield line. This ended in a goal that was called off for offsides. And again, 5 minutes later, similar pattern. This time the pass comes from the defensive midfield. The Columbus line is still high, and this time Anders Dreyer is fouled by the last defender who gets sent off with a red card for this foul. After the red card, the match plans for both teams obviously changed significantly and Columbus just tried to protect their lead with a very deep block. San Diego naturally moved the ball from side to side to tire out Columbus and find an opening in their undermanned lines. This led to a dangerous free kick eventually, that then led to a corner that led to the tying goal for San Diego. To me, the story of this match was two teams with very similar philosophies clashing and not being able to play their game, but still finding the right adjustments and having success with that tactical flexibility.